Okay, so in our last video, we built this robot, and if you guys don't want to do that tutorial and you're only interested in the UV part, I actually uploaded this for a free download, so let me show you. If you just simply go to my website, which is uistudios.com/cartoon-robot-YouTube, right here. You can just simply download this file and follow this video. So no need to build it if that's something you're not interested in. All right. So I wanted to make sure that's available. And there's no registration. There's no anything. I'm just simply offering this file with this tutorial. So feel free to download it and follow me along. All right, so here we are. So one of the very first things I like to do is select the character, and under Poly Modeling tool, click on this icon here to just see the current UVs. So these are our current UVs. And of course, just like I showed before in other videos, you can always go to, make sure you're in the modeling tab, you can always go to UV and just do automatic UVs. And that automatically unwraps the character. And this is what it looks like. But in this video, let's go ahead and see if we can do a manual one, just so we can do both, right? Sometimes it's good to do it automatic if you are rushing, and sometimes it's good to do manual, and sometimes maybe it's a combination of both, right? So in this case, to do the manual one, what I'm going to do is select the character, go to UV, and let's go to planar and open up our options. And looking here from the Z, I'm gonna project my character, so this is what it looks like. And the reason I like to do that is because he's nice and organized and fun to look at instead of a big mess, right? So then I'm gonna press W and move him aside. Okay. And in this case, because we have two of the same objects or elements, which is the leg, it would be pretty silly to unwrap them both and then try to overlap them. The fastest and most efficient way would just be simply selecting this side of the character and just simply deleting it. So essentially we just delete this temporarily until we finish unwrapping this leg, and then of course we can just mirror it over. And because this is an exact copy, it will be perfect, easy, and simple. So a cool little trick. All right, so the very first thing that I like to do is just figure out which one of these shapes I would like to start with. And in this case, I think I'm going to go for the monitor here. So what I'm going to do is hold on the Shift key and select the screen. Then hold on the Shift key and press period on my keyboard to grow the selection. And this is sort of the part of the screen that where we can have animation, maybe of him blinking or speaking. And I could, this whole thing here is going to be the frame. So I would like this piece to be separate by itself. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and use my planar options here to just project it from the front. And because it's flat, I don't really need to unfold it. But if we do go to UV Toolkit, which is right here, if you don't have the tab, you can go to Unfold and just press on the Unfold button. But you can see nothing has changed because it's already straight. All right, I'm going to press W, move it out of the way. And because we're just kind of unfolding everything in this space, as we unfold each element, I'm going to move them out of the way and then go back and rescale them into this space. So let's just do it piece by piece. Now, another thing that I like to do personally is once I unfold something, I no longer want to look at it. So I do have this button here called Hide Selected, and you can find that under, I believe it's under Display, Hide Selection. And if you want to add this button to your shelf, just like I have mine, you just simply hold down the Control Shift key, and then just left click. And I can demonstrate that for you. If I hold on Control Shift and click, watch my shelf. This has just been added, so now I have 2 of them. So that's how easy that is, but I'm gonna delete it because I don't really need it. So I'm gonna press this button to hide the part of the screen that I just unfolded, just so I'm very clear about what else needs to be done and what has been done. So the next part, maybe we can grab this inner part here, and I could turn on my symmetry and automatically have both of these selected. And this time what I would like to do is project it from the side, so I can see here that the side is X. So I'm going to click on X and project it sideways. Say apply, and I could try to unfold it. And then once I unfold it, I can also go to this tab here and do a stack similar. And if they don't stack together, that's because you actually have to flip one of them horizontally. So to do that, what we need to do is turn off our symmetry, move them, let's move them out of the way, and let's go ahead and go to transform and flip one of them on the U, flip it over, hold down Shift, double click, and now if we do stack, we can stack them together. Press W to move it out of the way, and press hide because now it's done. And let's just go ahead and continue until we finish the entire thing. It doesn't really matter what order you do it in, so maybe let's grab the inside of the fan here, project it from the front, unfold, move it out of the way, and hide. Next, I would like to maybe grab this top part of the fan, hold on the Shift key, period key, grow my selection, and I'm going to grow it all the way maybe to this, but I want to make sure, let's go ahead and grab these 2. And we can so I just pretty much selected this entire fan, and I'm going to project it from the top. And of course, if I unfold it, it's not going to, well, it actually did work. It flattened it. Normally what you want to do is maybe create cuts so it's not so connected. So a lot of times, in this case, this actually totally works, but a lot of times if you go to the edges, something like this, and do a cut. So let's do cut and sew, and let's create a cut right here. I'm going to cut, and watch the difference between this shape, and if I unfold this, you can see that this straightened out a little more, right? So it's totally a preference of how you want to paint this later, so that's kind of important. But I'm going to unfold it again, and you can see how the more cuts I make, but they're very strategic. It's very similar to a candy wrapper. If you want to have some specific detail on a certain element, you want to unwrap it a certain way, right? So I'm kind of rushing through this, so this is perfectly fine. I'm going to drag it on the side and hide it, and might as well tackle this. So I'm going to select the entire thing, project it from the top, and now what I would like to do, and also another thing you can always do, of course, isolate something. So maybe that is good too. And maybe we can go on the back of the antenna and just click maybe here, and I don't want to lose my path here, so I'm going to kind of do it section by section. And let's go ahead and take it all the way to the top, and then make a cut, and select just this antenna alone and do unfold. Alright, press W to move it out of the way, and you won't be able to hide it because this is the only object that's visible, so I want to make sure that you get out of the isolation mode and then hide it. Alright, let's press F to zoom in on this guy. Let's project it from the top. And this is just my own personal flow. I like to project things so I can move them into the 0 to 1 space and then kind of deal with them one by one. Just something I developed by doing it in my own way. And now I'm going to go ahead and slice it. I'm going to select this whole thing and unfold it. And they are similar, so let's try to stack them, see if they stack. They do. Great. W, move them out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and hide it. So it's very repetitive, but you know, in a way, a lot of people complain that manual UVs is painful and annoying, but sometimes I look at it as a puzzle, and it's actually kind of fun sometimes to figure out how things should be laid out or unfolded. So it's really not that bad. And you know, through the years, Unity made really great tools to make the job relatively painless. Let's go ahead and do the monitor. So I'm going to select this entire rim, hold down the Shift key, and grow my selection. So I think something like this should work. Maybe I'll do one more here. And I'm going to project it from the front, which is Z, say apply, and do an unfold. Okay. Let's move it out of the way. Now, another really interesting thing that you do want to keep in mind is if you select something, maybe you're working on this edge here, and you think, oh, I can just hold down the Shift in the period to grow my selection, and that will only select things that are visible. But that's actually not true. If you are close to the edge, and we know that this part inside is not visible, but it is there, the selection will try to grab it. So if I hold on the Shift key and press period to grow my selection, you can see that it's trying to grab the inside of the monitor, and we don't want that, right? Because it's going to start to steal pieces from already unwrapped elements. So we don't want to do that. So just keep that in mind and be mindful about your selection, that you don't accidentally grab things that have already been unwrapped. Just another little tip. Alright, I'm going to double click on this and hide it. And you can see how it's slowly becoming something complex and cumbersome quickly becomes very simplified. And that's the part that I wanted to show you, that it's really not that bad. In this case, I would like to grab all the inside of these guys, because in Substance Painter, most likely this would be some sort of an emission material. So we want to make sure that it's completely separate from the rest of the frame. So that's important. I'm going to go ahead and project it, move it out of the way, and hide it. And let's see if we can grab, what should we do about these guys? So for this, I think I'm just gonna slowly begin to disassemble it. So I'm gonna select this, I'm gonna grow my selection, maybe to something like this. Now if I do one more, I need to be mindful, because I do see that there is some strangeness that's happening the way the pieces are being selected. But at the same time, I really do want to grab the rest of these. So just to be on the safe side, instead of growing my selection automatically, I'm doing this manually. I'm just going to select these pieces because I want them to be selected in a very specific way. So I want all of these, and I'm going to grab these afterwards. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and project it, and let's go ahead and unfold it. And this is one of those situations where if we wanted to, we could make a cut and straighten this out. But again, for this situation, I think it's fine. And you can see here that I actually forgot to select something, right? Now when this happens, just simply select all of this and go back and maybe review your selection and see what is missing. So in this case, I'm actually not sure. Oh, right here. I got it. Alright. Let's do this again. And let's unfold it. Now stacking doesn't work, so what I need to do is move it out of the way. I need to flip it horizontally and then try to stack them, and that works. Okay, move it out of the way, and let's go ahead and hide it. And this time you can see, because we got rid of that whole inside frame, these pieces are pretty easy to select, right? We can select them all at once. So that's a cool little trick. And to select these guys, instead of doing it in here, you can also select them in here as well. So for example, if we grab our move tool, we could select, let's go to up here in our UV toolbox and click on this little guy, UV shell. And what UV shell will allow us to do is if we just drag a selection partially, it's going to grab the entire shell. Now if I press W, I can move it out of the way. And essentially what I'm trying to get to is just to these guys here. So I can even grab this, move it out of the way, move these little buttons out of the way. So now we're left just with this, and this is what I wanted. So it was a quick way to make a selection. I'm going to project it from the front, and as before, unfold it. And there's so many of them. Let's see if we can try to stack them. They're stacked pretty well. I'm not really too concerned about stacking these. I'm perfectly fine because they're so small and insignificant. I'm perfectly fine with them just being out. I think it's fine. Let's go ahead and hide them. All right. And it's red because it's showing me that I am still in the shell mode. So maybe I can switch to my selection mode, go to face, and kind of switch back. So next, might as well get rid of these buttons. I'm going to hold on the Shift key and make a selection of all 4 of them. And just project them from the top. And unfold them. And they're tiny, it's hard to see, but I'm not going to overlap them in case in Substance Painter we want to make them different colors. Maybe one is, you know, red, black, blue, green, whatever. If we overlap them, then they must have the same color. So maybe that would be a smart thing, is not to overlap them, right? So we always have to think about what are we going to do once this gets into Substance Painter. Just to mix things up, we could do the leg too, or I'm eyeing these cables here, so let's grab these cables. I'm just double clicking, holding down Shift, double clicking, and making the entire cable selection. And let's just project it from the top, see what that looks like. All right, and now I'm going to grab my move tool, and what I would like to do is just separate them. There's 4 of them, and the best thing to do is probably double click on the edge on each one, holding down the shift key, and it doesn't really matter where the cut is. Just make a cut, and then let's go ahead and select all of them and do an unfold. And they're kind of I think they're all different. I don't think they're going to overlap well. Press E if you ever want to manually rotate it. At this point, we're not really worrying about the layout, but later, even if you're moving them out of the way, you can always press E, W to move it, E to rotate it, or R to scale. Alright, so I'm going to select these guys and let's go ahead and hide them. Alright, so this one is pretty simple. I'm just going to double click on both of these and project them on Y and unfold them. Okay, I just want to see if they're one piece. They are. I'm going to hide them. All right, we're almost done with the monitor. Maybe we can just go ahead and finish these guys here. So maybe I can grab the inside part. Now I know the inside part would also probably be emission, just for my own preferences of painting. So I'm gonna go ahead and project that by itself and unfold it. So I'm gonna put it with the other emission pieces, but it doesn't really matter where I put them at this point, because we're gonna rework the layout anyways. Let's see. Let's go ahead and grab these guys. Now I can just double click on it on here because you see it's selecting the entire shell, the entire mesh. So what I need to do is move to here, and now if I zoom in enough, I can certainly double click. I should be able to select just these guys. Let's do the one here. Project them, and they already look pretty straight, so I don't think I need to unfold them. I'm just going to move them out of the way. Alright, so now we're just left with this back piece here. So I'm going to manually select these, project them on Z, and unfold. I'm going to flip it horizontally and holding down the shift key select both of them, and let's go ahead and stack them. And they're not stacking because they're still different in some way. So sometimes this will happen. You don't see they're not stacking, and that's fine because they didn't unwrap exactly the same way. And when this happens, I usually move along, move on to the next piece. But if you take the time, you can overlap them. I'm not really interested in taking any time on that. So let me see if I can keep grabbing these pieces. So the next one is probably going to be this back panel. And I'm thinking that this whole entire piece could be one thing. So the only thing I need to do is take off these fins. So let's do the fins. I'm going to select them both by just holding on shift and dragging my selection. I'm going to project them from the top, and I think what I need to do is make a cut on each side, and that should be enough for us to nicely unwrap them. So I'm going to go ahead and say cut, and I'm hoping that this is going to be perfect. So let's go ahead and unfold. Yeah, I think that that totally works. Great. Move them out of the way and hide them. And now what I'm thinking is that this whole entire frame could probably be one piece. Just not being lazy, but I'm just thinking I think it should work. We could break it into more pieces, but let's just see what happens if we attempt to unwrap it. So I'm going to grab this whole piece here, and let's go ahead and unwrap it. So that's interesting. This is what I'm getting. Now, one thing we could do is maybe we can make a cut here and here and just play around. If we don't like how this looks, we can of course redo it, but I just want to see what this would look like. So maybe that's a little better, right? Because it seems a little straighter. We can unfold it, you know. I think that works. I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna press W, move it out of the way, and hide it. And now finally we're just left with the leg. Now the leg, remember, we're just gonna do the leg and then flip it over. So it's gonna be nice and easy, right? So with the leg, let's go ahead and start from the bottom. If you wanted to, you can always hide the grid so it's not on your way. Hold on the Shift key, grow your selection. I'm going to project it from the top and unfold it and move it out of the way, hide it. Let's go ahead and grab these toes. I'm going to first do the top. Just simply grab the top, project it, and I don't even think I need to unfold them, but I will unfold them. And now we should be able to simply, let's move this out of the way. Oh, I suppose these are connected. Okay, I forgot about that. So maybe let's select the rest of it. And I'm just doing it manually because I'm trying to be careful about, because these are kind of extruded. I just want to make sure I understand how this mesh is connected, so that's why I'm doing it manually. Okay, I'm gonna project it from the top and unfold it. Again, I know it's very repetitive, but I find it fun in some way. I'm gonna hide it, and let's go ahead and do the rest of this. So for this piece, maybe we can let's grab the round part first. And the reason I'm doing the round part first is because then I can grab this whole entire bottom by itself. So I'm just separating the islands, so he's not connected in any way. So this will be a cool little easy trick. And as you can see now, I can grab just this guy by himself, right? Now I can project them from the top, and I'm not really sure if that will work as far as the unfolding. And you know what? It does. I think it's fine. Alright, so let's see what's next. Let's go ahead and just keep doing it piece by piece. So the next guy is this one. And for this, I'm just gonna grab this whole island. And again, you can see what I'm doing. I'm separating them so then I can select the one before that automatically, right? So then now I can just double click on this one. And because it's not connected, I didn't hide this one, but I can just grab this by itself, unfold it, and move it out of the way. Now I can select both of these and hide them. All right, I'm gonna press Control S and keep going. The next piece is this guy. So let's quickly do this. So I think the smartest way to do this is just to grab the middle and project it from the top, and then maybe come here and select one of the edges, make a cut, and then just simply take this whole guy and unfold him. So I think that would probably be the smartest and the fastest way of dealing with this. And now we should be able to just grab all of this. And let's go ahead and project it. It doesn't really matter because either way we need to make a cut on the side. I'm going to make a cut, and now I should be able to unfold it. All right. This seems pretty easy. Again, this might be an emission or maybe not. I'm not really sure. Let's see. Let's just grow our selection. I can grow this all the way to here. And looking here, I know I need to grab my X, say apply. Let's go ahead and unfold it. And move it out of the way. I'm going to do the same thing on here. I'm going to grab this and just grab this entire side and do exactly the same thing. Just simply project it from the X and unfold it. All right, so now this piece here, I can just grab it by coming to my UV editor, selecting it. Let's project it from the top. And the only thing I need to do is just simply make a cut somewhere, maybe in the back. How about back here? We'll make a cut. And because we did that, now we can simply unfold it into a strip, just like we did before. So we'll hide it, and now we're just left with these pieces. This is pretty simple, just grab it. Doesn't really matter from what happens next, but we do need to know, we do need to make a selection somewhere in the, wherever you want the seam line to be. Maybe it's smarter to do it in the bottom so you don't quite see it as easy. And let's go ahead and cut it. And now unfold it. All right. And finally we have one, I'm going to hide it, and now we're just left with one part, which is our shoulder, right? And this is going to be really easy. This part is just going to be by itself. We'll make a cut somewhere, it doesn't really matter where, just so we can have another strip. Okay, great. And these, let's project them as well and just unfold them. And of course, if we wanted to, we can try to overlap them, and that worked. All right, great. So now let's go ahead and unhide all. Unhide all is under display, show, all. And again, you can do Control, Shift, and left click to add it to your shelf. So now we can see that, make sure you save your work, Control S. Now all the elements have been unfolded, and the next part, before we do anything else, let's not clone this to the other side yet. Let's go ahead and align our UVs. I'm going to close this. I'm no longer need it. Let's go ahead and take our UVs and automatically organize them. So what I'm going to do is, the very first step we need to do is, let's just make sure that all of the scales of our UVs are the same. So to do that, you can just make a selection over all of them. And we do have a tool in the tools called textile density. So actually what you want to do is select one piece, doesn't really matter which piece, and if you say get, it's going to give you an exact number of what this density is. And now if you want the rest of the pieces to match this density, you could just simply grab all of this and say set. And you can see in the bottom left, Maya is trying to calculate. And now what it has done is it scaled all the elements to match that density, or that. So this way, when you are painting in Substance Painter, all the texture scale is going to match between different elements. That's an important step. And the next part besides this is just going to modify layout, and let's look at the options. And I'm going to go to Unfold 3D, and let's check this out. We don't need to stack similar because we already did that, so make sure this is unchecked. And I'm okay with these being translated and rotated, so I'm going to have both of these checked. And I do want the padding and the tile padding, so the texture, the UVs don't go all the way to the edge. And I'm just going to say apply. So you can see this automatically packs all of the UVs into this space, and I think this looks nice. Alright, so now once I can see the result, I can of course tell that it didn't keep the pieces overlapping. So we could test that, because we know that, for example, this piece here, which is this, we overlapped with this one. I mean stacked. And so the stacking didn't work. So it's totally up to you if you want to play around and see if overlapping works for you or not. But in this case, just for fun, let's go ahead and say stack similar and see what kind of result we get. So it's taking just a little bit longer, but I think in my situation it actually works pretty well. And now if I select this piece here and try to move it out of the way, I can see that it's overlapping with the other one. So actually it does work in this situation. Sometimes you want to be mindful that just kind of review how it looks, because sometimes it doesn't look as good, or it doesn't overlap perfectly. So make sure that Maya does a nice job. In this case, it actually did a beautiful job, and it looks awesome. All right, so that's pretty much it as far as the UVs go. And now, of course, as I said before, if we grab all of these elements here, we can flip them to the other side. And because we flipped it to the other side, the UVs are going to be exactly the same, right? So like if you come and look at your UVs have not changed at all. And if you attempt to grab a selection, for example, the bottom of his foot, because now there's a copy, there's two of them, they should be overlapping, right? So if you press W and try to move out of the way, you can see there's two of them. So Maya automatically stacked them as we cloned our leg. So that is pretty cool, right? So the next step now, since you have great UVs, is just simply export this out and have fun. It's in Substance Painter painting this guy. And I think it would be fun maybe too down the line to do a tutorial where we can do the screen, the face, to be some sort of animation. So that would be cool if this was a 2D animation, 2D animated texture playing on top of the 3D geometry. And I also think that would look really, really cool inside a game engine. All right, so thanks for watching. I know this has turned out to be kind of long, but I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next video.